First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of hindsight analysis. So I'm going to explain the setups that we talked about catching last week. So we'll talk about the setups that played out. How could you have entered? What I showed you guys to actually get in. And then we'll do the exact same thing. Top-down analysis, what has changed since our last stream, and what could we be potentially expecting this coming week for some potential trades, okay? Let's start with the hindsight analysis. We're gonna take a quick look at last week's analysis here. So this was last week right here. So we talked about on both Ethereum and Bitcoin, kind of this 3 taps of the low, reclaim the mid-range, target the range high, and then target 2 potentially would be filling in some of this gap here on Ethereum. And then on Bitcoin, same thing, 3 taps of the lows, reclaim the mid-range, target 1 is into here, target 2 was going to be hopefully up into here towards 50K. We didn't get quite that high, but the setup was super clear and the triggers played out almost identical to what I had kind of mapped, right? There's your breakout, there's your retest above the mid-range, and Ethereum was the exact same scenario, right? We're expecting a breakout, retest of the mid-range, and that's exactly what happened. Let's look zoomed in here on Bitcoin. What were we targeting? We were hoping we would get up here. The trigger to get long was this move here. Because what we had at the lows here, we had our range form. So our last video was on the 13th. So let's just go replay here to the 13th. So our last video was here, and we effectively said, okay, well, we just had the SFP happen. Right? So that ended up being a swing failure pattern. If you remember, 12-hour SFP. So this was our last video right here. This price action was live. So we had the SFP. Once we got back within the range, the aggressive long is actually within the range. I mentioned this is kind of a breaker block, but it was big and bulky and I didn't like it. So you could aggressively have gotten long as soon as we reclaimed the range. We had 1 tap, 2 tap, a 12-hour swing failure pattern, and we're right back in the range. An aggressive long would be on that H12 candle close, stop there, enter on the candle close, target 1, target 2. That was the aggressive long we talked about. The more conservative long was, let's wait until we get above here, and then we'll target at least into here, and then hopefully we'll fill in some of this gap here, this inefficiency in price, right? Big fast move down, one direction being to the downside, so hoping some of this gets filled in, and it did. So here's the move up, boom. Once we're back above there, you're getting in longs, right? How do you define your risk at this point? It's up to you. Once we reclaim the mid-range, you could have defined your risk by probably this stop run here. You could have it way down here. You could have it at the range low, or you could zoom in and look for a lower time frame invalidation. So your lower time frame invalidation, once we reclaim the mid-range here, retest, move away, right? Your stop can be under any of these lows here because the idea is effectively this needs to hold here. Once we're back above that mid-range, we see that strong move away. Where does that move occur from? From the bullish order block here. Bullish order block, retest, boom. Key level being the mid-range. Where do we look for bullish order blocks when we're looking to get into longs? Near key levels, we zoom in, we find those order blocks. There's your order block. There's your entry trigger. Stop goes either below the OB or the nearest swing low that you like. And then the target is up here. Hopefully some of you got in on this long, however you may have. And then obviously, as you can see, it played out exactly how we thought it would. Tagged the upper range, and then we started consolidating above here, and I posted another chart, and it kind of started to look a little bull flaggy, right? It's looking a little bit like a bull flag, so you'll see that here, kind of a bull flag on top of support. And I said, if we can hold the range high, I think we will get that secondary push. But once we failed to continue to put in bullish price action and actually started putting in bearish price action, that's your trigger probably to cut any remaining exposure you have and wait and see, right? And so if we kind of go forward in time here, we failed to kind of continue the bullish momentum. We had that break high. That ended up being a stop run. This looked like a higher high here. But when we failed to get any sort of follow through and then we start breaking lows, now it's starting to look shitty. We're back below the range high. if I had to guess, this thing has to bounce right here, or I'm expecting a move back into the range, and I wouldn't be surprised if we even go back into the range low. What was the other sign for you to get out of this move? This I can tell is a stop run, just based on staring at the chart for so fucking long. When I see a move above a high like this and then completely retrace and sell off and then put in lower lows and lower highs immediately, to me that's a deviation, that's a stop run. I don't need to zoom out to see that if you actually go to the H12, it was a SFP. I didn't need the H12 to see that. That's because I've put in thousands of hours of chart time. When I see this happening live, I'm like, okay, based on the reaction we just got off that high, I'm now thinking that this trades lower. And then turns out it also was an H12 SFP. These types of things of pattern recognition, this is the inverse of this. Right? You see the move below the low and it quickly turns around. I know that that's a swing failure pattern on a higher time frame. I don't need to zoom out. You end up zooming out and seeing it worked out perfectly, but I don't need to see that. That's pattern recognition. That's something that will come with time. The more time you put in the charts, the more time you're gonna have to start noticing patterns. Price, the whole meme about fractals, right? Price moves similarly. You'll see very similar price patterns over and over and over again. Some people call them fractals. Some people use them to map future price moves. I just noticed them around entries. The way I use fractals are for kind of entries and shit. I'll see the same type of thing form at key levels and I know, okay, this is gonna hold, this is gonna reverse, and that just comes with time. But H12 SFP, we did fill in some of this gap. We hit the 50% retracement of the entire move. So if you zoom out here a little bit, we hit the 50. I wanted to see us hit a little higher, but we did hit the 50. And then we put in a swing failure pattern right at the 50. So to me, that SFP close was your trigger to cut long exposure and then reassess. Because it looks like it wants to go a little lower now. It looks like it wants to go a little lower. You got a decent entry up here. If you shorted the SFP, maybe your stop is here. The fact that we're now trading back at the range high after a high time frame SFP and it looks weak, I wouldn't be surprised if we now come back into the range here and trade back into that mid range, which is somewhere around here. I wouldn't be surprised now based on this, just looking at this, if we at least trade back to the mid range. What is also at the mid range here? There's your bullish order block that started this move, and that is confluent with the mid range. If I throw the mid range on there, there's your mid range. So to me, this is where price is going at the very least right now, if I had to guess. And then if we form bullishness here, then great. Higher low, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. That would be the bull scenario that I'm looking for now on Bitcoin, if we're able to find bullishness within this 12-hour bullish order block confluent with the mid-range. Okay, guys? Looking at Bitcoin right here, lower low. Remember, what you have to remember is this long we took, remember, was counter trend. You got to remember that. We talked about this last week, right? It's always high time frame to low time frame. So if the high time frame is bearish, which it is because we put in a lower low on the 12-hour and the daily, my expectation was a retracement into a lower high. So the context of last week's long was that this was going to be a potential retracement into a lower high. Could it go higher? Absolutely. Obviously, that idea is invalidated above there, but that was the concept, right? This is counter trend. What we're looking for is, if we're in a downtrend, we were effectively longing one of these pullbacks in a downtrend, high time frame downtrend. We're longing a pullback. So you have to realize that as soon as the low time frame market structure starts shifting bearish, you have to realize that that is the low time frame syncing back up with the high time frame order flow, which is in a downtrend. So the expectation, even though we got in longs last week, was that this could be a lower high. We don't know for sure yet. This could do this, right? It could fucking do this and then die. Like, so many things can happen, but we have to realize that the 12-hour, which is what I'm using as my high time frame, just put in a lower low. So we're in higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher high, lower low. So now we're hunting a lower high to see if this is actually going to make now a trend shift and continue lower. A move below here would confirm that this is going to probably shift into a medium-term downtrend, right? This is a very key turning point right here that we're at. This is either a medium-term top and we're going to see a much bigger correction, or this is just a little bit of a shakeout and then we're going to see actually higher prices towards 56K. I don't know yet, but you have to realize that the 12-hour did put in that lower low. So this has always been a counter trend long. And so on any sort of clue or inference that PA gives me like this, that it might be shifting bearish, I want to pay attention to that and either look for shorts or at the very least hedge my bets and cover some of my long exposure off, right? So these are the levels I'm working with on Bitcoin right now, guys. I'm looking at this 12-hour bullish order block and the EQ as an area where we might be able to get into some longs. What I would love to see for the bulls is a run of these lows here into this, and then either an SFP or a quick snapback above that level. That would get me bullish into 50K. Okay, a run of the lows into that order block, into the EQ. And if it closes as an SFP, awesome. Or if it just breaks down but then regains those lows, that's going to be a bullish trigger for me towards 50K. What is the bearish case? The bearish case is if we stay below the range high, stay below here, break down, stay below here. I think you could short a breakdown of the EQ into the range low and then potentially into the 42 and 40 level. So those would be the kind of bear cases for me. I don't think if we're going down, we're not coming all the way back up here. I don't think we could come up and retest this SFP. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get a move where it will come up and it will retest the deviation. That could happen. I don't really see that happening. To me, the retest kind of already happened like here. Right? And that rejected, sold off. So if we make a lower low below here, right? I think you could scalp a short into at least here. And if we continue to put in bearish market structure down into here, obviously lose the range low, that's your next trigger point. H12 is bearish. H12 here, if this is your H12 range, right? This is bearish, break in market structure. So if the 1 hour is putting in lower lows and lower highs, you can look to short back into this range if you want to. Personally, what I'm looking for on the short side likely will be some sort of break of this low here, a rejection, and then a rejection of the EQ would be where I would hop in. I would be looking to short a breakdown potentially of 46,000. And I know you might say, well, isn't that into this 12-hour block? The only way I'm interested in longing here is if we come in here and start putting in hourly bullish price action. If that's the case, I will get in longs here. But if we come in here and we're just putting in lower highs and lower lows, I will start looking to short any sort of bearish price action, but still too early to tell. So effectively, there's no clear trade to me here on the short side yet. We're too close to support here for me to want to just short where we're at. If you short it up here, I think you target here. If you're not short yet, I think you wait and see what happens here. If we come into the mid-range and we get that bounce I was talking about and run those lows, I'm going to be looking for longs into 50K. If we come into the mid-range here and it's weak, we're seeing rejections, bearish swing failure patterns, bearish market structure, nothing showing me bullishness, then I will look to short into the range low, a breakdown of the range low, and I'm looking to short into 42 and as low as 40,500. Hopefully that is clear to y'all. That's a long plan and a short plan, right? So the long plan, I'm just gonna quickly highlight it here. Run these lows into here. Bullish PA on the low time frame. That's longs into 50K. Stay below here, break into here, and fail to put in any sort of bullish price action. Then I think you can short this into here. And then if you get the same thing here, you could short this down into here and then potentially as low as here. I'm waiting personally. What you want to do is up to you. But that's kind of what I'm seeing intraday. We did the hindsight analysis. We're going to do a quick macro look at Bitcoin here. So this is something I've seen pop up on the feed a few times today, and it was the title of this stream, the 64K top fractal. And some people are talking about the similarities between this and this. So looking at these two areas of price, do you guys see any sort of similarities? Do you see a fractal? Do you see any sort of similarities in terms of how price played out here versus, you know, kind of where we're at right now? So you can kind of see it, right? You can kind of see it. Effectively, what people are saying is we've got our 1, 2, 3 drives, right? Break in market structure, pull back, and then the giga dump, right? So the giga dump would be blah, right? So that's what a lot of people are pointing out on Twitter. So do you guys see why people are pointing that out? I totally see this. I agree, right? So if you guys remember, I talked about this being the first break in market structure that we had seen on the high time frame in this entire run up. So I said, we're looking for a lower high to short, for a lower low. And that's exactly what happened. I ended up cucking myself out of the primo short, but we even had a beautiful swing failure pattern happen right at that lower high, and then it nuked. This is very similar price action. So when I'm talking about fractals and price repeating itself, this is more what I mean, right? I don't care so much about the 3 drives part. This is kind of irrelevant to me. All I see here is a uptrend that has now shifted into a potential downtrend because we've broken market structure. Just like we did here, we broke market structure here. And you can see the similarities. So what are you expecting? Pull back, another leg down. And that's what people are seeing here. You could say it's a head and shoulders. You could say whatever the fuck you want. But at the end of the day, I do see the similarities here. We have that SFP that formed right there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is now going to be the lower high. This could be it. Could we get one more push up? Maybe. But this could be the lower high. And if that's the case, if we're repeating this effective pattern here, which is uptrend, there's your break in market structure, lower high, SFP. Now we're going to make a lower low. To me, that lower low that we're going to form probably happens right into, remember this from last week's stream? This 3-day block. I like this 3-day block here. Is if this is going to make a lower low, I think it makes a lower low into this 3-day block. And then this is where you hope and pray that the bull run is not over, in my opinion. If we come into this 3-day block and we put in bullish price action, it's the 3-day block. So if we're putting in daily 12-hour H4 bullish price action in here, that's going to be your signal to get into some big boy longs. I'm going to just mark it out with levels so you can see the levels. And you can tell this is key, right? Once we broke through here, boom. Once we broke down here, boom, right? Resistance, consolidate, move up. So these are obviously very key levels here. So if we come down here, if this is kind of topping like this, if we come down here, this is where you really want to see Bitcoin catch a bid. Because if it does not, then it is really, 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 really ugly. So I really want to see this 37 to 40K area hold on Bitcoin. It's also that previous range, right? We had that previous range that we consolidated in here. You do not want us to go back into this range for any significant period of time. So if we come down here, I want to see an accumulation schematic on a lower time frame, and I want to see a move away. I do not want to see us spend way too much time down here. I don't want to see us trade below 37,000 for any significant period of time other than maybe a high time frame wick. But that is kind of the fractal that everyone is pointing out, and I see it for sure. There are some similarities here, right? 3 drives, break in market structure, lower high, SFP, lower high, SFP, leg down. I totally see that, and we will be prepared. How will we get into that short? Well, just like if you didn't short this move, once it started putting in bearish price action, any of these consolidations here, you need to be looking for reasons to short. So if this breaks down here, we want to be looking for reasons to get short on the lower time frame. Bearish market structure, bearish swing failure patterns, right? If the high time frame is doing this, right? We want to wait for one of these to happen, and then we want to look for something bearish to occur here to catch that next leg. So even if you miss this one, which is effectively this here, we want to catch the next little bump before the move down. And it's no different here, right? If you miss this, here is your retracement. It's not a huge retracement, but there is a short in here. So if you miss this, right, there is a short in here on a lower time frame. I see multiple. There is an H1 swing failure pattern. This is bearish market structure on the H1. We've got a high, a low, a high, higher low, higher high, but an SFP. And then what? Break in market structure, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Another SFP, lower high, lower low. So that is what I'm talking about, right? You're going to zoom in and you're going to look for those opportunities on the lower time frame to get back in sync with that high time frame down move, because the high time frame down move has started up here. This is your signal that, okay, we are going, once we broke this low, then had the rejection here, this is your signal that we're going much lower. You need to start hunting low time frame short opportunities, and that's exactly what we're looking at now. So if this was the top, let's just speak hypothetically here, like if this was the lower high before another leg down into here, we want to be looking for low time frame reasons to get short on the way down. And like I said, where are those going to happen? Here, here. We're going to look for reasons, consolidations, bearishness to get short for the next leg. You don't need to catch the top. If you've identified the trend and you're confident that we're going here, who cares if you didn't short this? Get in a short here. You can still get a great risk reward trade if you're confident in the direction. I'm going to do ETH now. So Ethereum, we don't really need to do the same hindsight thing that we did on Bitcoin, but effectively, right, 3 taps. High time frame SFP, the long trigger was the reclaim of the EQ. This setup is cleaner than Bitcoin's. Here's your bullish order block, your down candle before an up move that broke market structure right there. What happened? Perfect retest, confluent with the EQ, stop here, target top of the OB. And actually on Ethereum, we targeted here and we came just shy. But you got a little extra juice there. And now this looks actually even more bearish than Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is hovering around here. Ethereum, deviation, broke down. There's a reaction off the mid-range. Clean rejection right off the range high. Sell off. Boom. Another clean rejection. So I'm giving you guys the levels. I've given you the levels to pay attention to. And I've taught you how to get into trades at the levels. Now it's up to you to put the fucking pieces of the puzzle together. But I said, look for a long signal here. That was last week's setup on Ethereum. Right there. Look for a long signal right at the EQ. That's last week's tweet. Here it is, right here. And you have exactly what we're looking for, right? What are we looking for? Bullish price action to form at a key level. We're looking for bullish order blocks and bullish triggers, and that's as clean as it gets right there. Down candle before the up move right there. Perfect retest. There's your break in market structure. That is your entry here. That is your stop. That is your target. And that's like a bread and butter trader Mayne setup given to you in advance for 3R. It's as clean as it gets. And then on the flip side, remember, we talked about this. This could just be a lower high here. So when you see the H1 break market structure, now we're putting in lower highs and lower lows. What are you looking for? I'm looking for bearish setups now. Let's say you don't even short any of this. You ignore all of this. This is the cleanest break in market structure here. There's a break in market structure here, but this is clean as fuck. Perfect pullback into what? Key high time frame level into what? Bearish order block that broke market structure. Pull back. There's your short. Stop up here. Target here. Exact same shit happened again right here. Bearish order block that broke market structure. Pull back. Sell off. All at key levels, all given in advance, but it's up to you guys to now put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm not there on your computer saying, hey guys, we just flipped the EQ, go look for a bullish order block. Like, I can't do that for you, right? You need to be able to start doing that, but I've given you all the tools necessary to identify this setup, this setup, this setup, this setup here. I've given you all the tools you need. And if we start trading back up, you know exactly what to do. If we get back above here, what are you going to look for? You're going to look for something like this to get into a long, back into here. So I've given you all the tools. You have the tools, you have the puzzle pieces. Now it's up to you to fucking put them together and make it fucking work, right? So Ethereum looks objectively more bearish than Bitcoin. We had a way bigger push up here, but on the lower time frame, this looks shittier. We've got that breakdown here, right? We've got a clear lower high here from what it looks like now. So same as Bitcoin though, we're still into support, right? Just like I don't want to short Bitcoin here. Bitcoin, we're either going to go here or this is just a retest of the range high and we're going to go up. Too close to support to short it. I'm going to wait and see if support fails and then I'll get into shorts. Same thing with Ethereum, right? Like if you wanted to short it, I gave you the short trigger here and here that you could have gotten in on. But now we've had a big sell off here and we're coming into the range lows again. I do not want to short into the range lows. If we lose the range lows, I will look to short this down into here. 2,800, 2,700. If we lose the range low, that 3,200 area, I'm looking for short triggers. It'll be a lower low. That'll be a confirmed lower high. Now I'm looking to short this down in here because I personally did not short this. So I'm waiting. But the reason I'm not shorting right now is we're into the range lows right now. This could end up being support. This did break market structure here, so we could see a higher low form here. So I'm not longing this blind, but if we're able to get back above the EQ, I might be interested in longing it into the range high, but we're too close to support for me to get short right now on Ethereum. But lose the range low, I'm looking to short to 28. reclaim the mid-range. I'll look to long back towards 36. No trade for me right now. So I mentioned months ago that if we were to get back up to this area here, this is an area where I'd be happy to sell any crypto that I bought down here and then just wait and see. Because effectively, that fractal that we're looking at here, this one, 3 drives, breakdown, sell-off, and that we're seeing form here as well, 3 drives, breakdown, sell-off. Well, what is this on the weekly? On the weekly, you have an uptrend. There's your break in market structure on the weekly. So what is the expectation? A lower high is the potential way that this move gets resolved. Can we go to all-time high? Absolutely. I'm not saying that like crypto is dead from here and we're going to zero. When you have a high time frame shift in market structure, right? This is the weekly chart. So the retracement takes a while to play out. This might just retrace to this and then go up again. But the bottom line is you have to be cautious in this area. And this is what I talked about months ago. It wasn't 48K. It was this area, the 6.2 to the 7.9, which is the sweet spot, the OTE, the premium of the range of the top to the bottom of this big sell-off that we had. And you can see we came right up into the 6.2 and then we pulled back. If we're going to have a top, it happens in here. And so if this is the top, we hit the level. We hit one of them. If we get above the 7.9, we're going to 100K. If we get above the 7.9, we are going to 100K. But for now, this is an area where I've talked about for months. While we were even down here, I said, if we get up here, make sure you at least take some profits on some of the shit that you bought down there. Be smart. Don't be stupid. And maybe this lower high leads to a lower low. Maybe. And we go back below 20K. Or maybe this lower high leads to a potential higher low. And then we now have a new weekly trend forming that would confirm on a break of here. And then obviously, right, break of the 7.9 and fucking moon it, mate. I've talked about this lots in the past. If you want to go look on my feed and type in the word weed, you will see that I have tons of posts and threads about it and shit. I smoked weed for a long ass time from like age 15 to like 29, almost daily. And I was just high all the time. Very high functioning stoner. I still got a lot of shit done, did well in school, got degrees, had good jobs and shit. But I was just high all the time. I definitely got a little bit disassociative with life and with emotions and with feelings. I just felt like I was always either baked or burnt out. There was no in between. And I wanted to prove that I could quit. Everyone talks about weed not being addictive, you know, and oh, it's not addictive, whatever. I just use it to sleep, whatever. It's like, okay, tell a stoner who says weed is not addictive to stop smoking then. And they'll have a reason why they can't, because they're addicted. So I wanted to prove to myself that I could stop. So I just went cold turkey. The goal was to last a year, and it did suck. I had legit withdrawals and crazy dreams and shit. It was fucked. But once I kind of got through that, to be honest with you, I didn't really miss it. And then when a year came up, I didn't really like want to go back. I like being present so much more. I feel just like so much sharper. My memory is better. I have more energy. I sleep better. I'm eating better. I feel healthier. I did quit weed and really get into the gym around the same time. So maybe some of those things are from working out or from smoking weed. I don't know. Or stopping smoking weed. I don't know. But my life took a lot of positive changes when I stopped, and I just feel better in general. I think people who smoke weed every day, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, do whatever the fuck you got to do. But I do think it is addictive, and I do think that it affects people differently. Some people more negatively than others. You got to do what's right for you. But being stoned all the time is not the move. When I say I approach spot as if they're trades, I have a plan. Meaning, like, if I buy spot Bitcoin here, where's that idea wrong? Like, let's say you loaded up at spot Bitcoin just at 50K here because you thought we were going to all-time high. Where's that idea wrong? Are you just going to hold that? What if we trade all the way back down here? Was that idea wrong? So that's what I mean by that. You still need to have a plan. Where is your target? I mean, obviously having spot, maybe you're holding it for years. I don't fucking know. But at the end of the day, you still have to have an idea where your trade, your purchase is wrong. If you bought a bunch of spot here, what happens if we just continued to trade down? Would you just hold that all the way down, or did you have a plan, right? So you still just have to have a plan, and maybe your idea is wrong at zero. Maybe you're like, I'm buying Bitcoin here, and I know that in 5 years I'll be able to sell it for more, and I'm wrong if it goes to zero, then great. But you still have to have a plan. That's what I mean when I say treat it like a trade. Make a fucking plan and stick to it. The easiest way to not fuck yourself out of a trade is to trust the plan. So if I'm entering a trade here, I get entered, and it does this, right? And then you exit because you're like, oh, it looks like shit. And then you come back the next day and it did this. Why are you exiting here when before you entered the trade, your idea wasn't wrong until here? And the same goes in the opposite, right? If you're going like this and it goes like this and you're like, I don't know, I'm closing it, right? And then you come back the next day and it's done this, you're going to be pissed. Well, your idea was right up here. not here. So why are you closing it early? I understand you don't want to give back money to the market. So there's a few things you can do. Early on, once I entered the trade, I only exited at my stop or my TP, nothing in between. And I had trades that would do this, like this, and then like this, and I'd be so pissed. I forced myself to trust the plan, because if I don't trust my plan, why am I putting money behind the idea in the first place? If I don't trust it, if I don't think it's gonna get there, why is that my target? And then as you get more sophisticated in your trading, you have more experience, then you can start tweaking it. You know, maybe it comes here, and then maybe you bring your stop up to break even, or you take a portion off, right? Take off a third, and then take off more, and then, you know, leave a runner, and then you trail your stop up. Then you can start getting more into trade management. But early on, in my opinion, less is more. And you say you trade crypto. I am not like a fucking super plugged in person with the trends on crypto. Like, if you follow me, you should know that. Like, you see, there's some people who are plugged into everything. They know about all the newest coins, airdrops, new projects, new ecosystems. They're bridging to AVAX. They're doing this, that, and the other thing. That is not my edge. I am a price action trader. I make money trading the chart, and I make most of my money trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then a few altcoins when they're running. That's it. That's what I do. That's my specialty. I'm not flipping NFTs. I'm not collecting a bunch of airdrops. Am I leaving money on the table? Probably. Sure. But like, I know what works for me and what I enjoy doing and what I understand. I only have so much mental bandwidth to keep up with shit. Crypto is crazy enough. And if you try and keep up with everything, it's insanely overwhelming. So am I leaving money on the table with not knowing about, you know, airdrops or whatever this fucking shit is? Probably. But I don't really care, because if Ethereum looks bullish, I'm just going to open up a fat Ethereum long and make a bunch of fucking money, and then I don't give a shit. That's just what I do. If you've been following me for long enough, you know I'm not the guy that's going to talk about the newest, hottest projects and all that kind of bullshit. That's not my domain. That's not my forte. It's not what I do. Listen, man, that's the one thing about trading, is you're not really making a difference in the world. You know, if you're a doctor or a surgeon and you're making a boatload of dough, but you're saving lives, right? You're making a difference. You're making your mark. Trading, really, I'm just extracting value from the market from effectively other people. So you've got to find other ways to give back, right? And maybe it's not a monetary thing. Maybe you donate to charity. Maybe you volunteer for charities. Maybe you join nonprofits. You know, maybe you raise money for shit. There's so many things you can do to better the world and the community around you. Money is a means to help you do some of those things. Absolutely. You would be surprised. I mean, if you look, CT is very philanthropic. Like, a lot of people give money away and help support artists and whatever. So I have no doubts in my mind that as my homies continue to make money, look at Rookie planting trees and shit. I'm doing the opposite. Every time Rookie plants a tree, I chop down a tree, just because everything needs to remain balanced. I'm slicing trees. My favorite type of analysis of the hiney. Give myself a laugh for that. That's funny. Hiney. I'm 11 years old. Anal assist. I am spastic myself. I'm off the meds today, folks. Buttcoin be the last spunk you ever do. Trust me. Okay, sorry I'm a little late, guys. I'm having some fucking tummy issues. Stomach, I'm fucking 31. I can't believe I just said tummy. Bullish or bearish? I don't know, dude. Watch the fucking stream. I'll take all the Bitcoin and Ethereum that you want to give to me for free, and then fuck off. Fuck that guy. Fuck BitBoy. I'm gonna give that man a donut. Speed up that diabetes. Bitch. More like it. Looks like you're fapping. Okay. Cock and ball patterns has a 100% strike rate. I will not quit texting your mother, and soon you're gonna be calling me dad. Hi, daddy. Hi. You? Do not send me feed pics. Please, God, do not send me feed pics. Read your comment to yourself in the mirror out loud, and then there should be your answer. I have a feeling in my tummy as well, and it's not a good one. My stomach is about to have a breakout to the downside. Aggressively so. That's so gross. Stop fapping, bro. I'm not fapping. Do not send me feet pics, please. You feeling ferocious? Risk management? What the fuck is that? I'm starting my own company called Only Necks. It's like OnlyFans, but it's just pictures of my neck, and you just send me money. What the fuck just happened there? I'll summarize all of this for you right now. Could go up, could go down.